Hello and welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's the professor, Russ Stevens. Hopefully, JP's first son, Tim Hoey, will be joining us very shortly. All right, boys, we have to start with the train wreck that is the Boston Red Sox. We don't love our general managers ever, never. We don't love them, but can you remember a general manager getting this much shit over the course of the last couple of weeks that Heimblum has gotten?
This much as
Deservedly so, though.
As early in his career. What is this, year 3 for him?
Yeah. COVID year being one.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is the second real year he's been GM, and he's already, the signals are already there with that Alex Spear article in the Globe the other day, with unnamed sources within the Red Sox organization, up to players and probably up through ownership, going on the record with an anonymous quote about, there was confusion in the ranks. I mean, he's a dead man walking.
So you think ownership?
Yeah, I think somebody from that ownership group, I don't know if it's Henry or Warner or somebody like Sam Kennedy, or, they're starting to, the Red Sox are starting to they're starting to grease the skids. I don't think he's going to get fired at the end of this year. Probably not. But I think they're starting to grease the skids that, he's going to need to bring in somebody to help him.
Well, I think management seems to have stepped in two obvious places to kind of correct him. Like when they made him sign Story, had to make, they had done nothing all off season. And they said, hey, we got to get in the newspapers. I don't care who you sign them.
Yeah.
Story signed Story. And then again, just recently, management came in and gave him a whack across the head and said, hey, you got to go tell Xander, we're not going to trade him, which, kind of takes away all his leverage if he had any trade negotiations. But
I think everybody's angry about that. They try to be both buyers and sellers when it was pretty clear that this team had not played well against good teams and should have been complete sellers. And what is JD and Avaldi still doing on this team?
Oh, yeah, with carrying that salary. And like Russ pointed out earlier in the week, and because they kept all these guys, they're still over the tax threshold. Tax threshold.
The fact that they managed to neither buy nor sell, not really improve the team, but not really make the team much worse, and still end up over the luxury tax threshold is an epic example of bad management. I mean, that just none of that makes any sense.
And the only guy they got rid of was the most popular player on the team who fulfilled a position of importance, catcher. Now they have no catches in the system. Nothing. Zero.
That was a good deal in the sense I felt like they got equal value back for rental.
I don't know, a couple of second, double A players.
No, you keep on saying that, Joe. How many times do I have to tell you the AAA guy is really good?
He never played AAA until he came to Worcester.
He's really good, Joe. They're good prospects. That was a good deal on the.
I don't know. The Red Sox rate him as their 16th prospect, number 16.
Hang on. It's a good deal if you're selling.
Yeah, they got something for him.
It's not a good deal if you're still trying to contend. Like if they had sold Vasquez and then sold JD Martinez and sold Avaldi and other flotsam and jetsam, I'd be like, okay, great. They made a decision. They were clear. They weren't confused.
Yeah.
But to sell off your catcher, but no one else, doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Well, first of all, let's break it down a little bit. Waka was hurt, wasn't going to get you anything. Now, we've made so many of these deals where we get shitty prospects and we never hear from them again. So don't get fixated on that. Hill, clearly is not going to get you anything.
Right.
No,
Now-
I'm not even mad. That's what I said, flotsam and jetsam. I'm
Yeah.
just talking about JD Martinez and Nathan Avaldi, two
Yeah.
proven World Series winning veteran players who would be able to fall out of bed and pitch and hit. Period.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
don't understand that. My only explanation would be that they believe they're going to sign them. They wanted to keep them on the team. It's easier to re-sign them, but you're not going to re-sign JD Martinez.
No.
That
No.
would be asinine.
Yeah, especially when
Asinine.
you have cases. Yeah, and the fact that we talk about Heim and always saying in the last few years he appears to have attention to detail. Well, this was the complete opposite of what we thought was
That's exactly
Heim's
right.
load.
That's right.
No attention to detail. What do you think's going on in his head? What is his plan?
Look, if you take a look at just the facts, this guy was never a general manager in Major League Baseball until the Red Sox gave him a job. And I think what Henry and Werner and Kennedy hoped for is they'd catch lightning in a bottle again and hire the next Theo. But this guy was clearly not ready to be a GM in a major market. He had never been a GM. He was an assistant GM in Tampa. There's a big difference between being an assistant GM in Tampa and being the GM of the Boston Red Sox, right?
And what were his what were his responsibilities as assistant GM at Tampa? Was it just farm system? Was
don't
it
know.
just contracts?
Look,
He doesn't seem to have a grasp of the whole picture.
he seems to have drafted well. Like, I got no problem with his drafts. His drafts seem to have gone very well.
Yeah.
He looks like he could be a really good player, scouting or head of scouting and player development. But like that last trade deadline showed that he was a new GM who was not ready for primetime and had no one else around him.
Right. That's where you need to bring an old timer in to whisper in
Right.
your ear. There's no question.
Right.
You need those
Just
guys.
have someone around. Say, hey, I'm thinking about trading Vasquez. Well, you're going to trade Vasquez, keep the rest of the guys. Well, the rest of the guys are going to take a look at Vasquez, who is a popular player, and the manager of the pitching staff, right, day to day, the guy who knows every pitcher, and you're going to trade him and no one else?
Yeah.
Well, why
Are
would
we
you
to
do that?
believe that JD Martinez and Avaldi had no true value?
Evaldi must have had some interest among contenders. You always need to lengthen your
Of course.
rotation going down the stretch, and to give your aces a little bit of rest and maybe an extra day here or there. That makes no sense. JD, there's probably no market for him, but you still
Sounded
move him.
to me that what the Red Sox, that they were on the market, but the Red Sox were asking for so much that people just were like, they don't really want to move them. I don't know. I mean, pick one. You're going to be a buyer. You're going to be a seller. Don't try to thread the needle. That's what got Danny Ainge in trouble all those years. Trying to thread the needle and being both at once. It's a really, really hard thing to do.
Yeah, you end up with a half dozen second round draft picks sitting on your bench.
And make the sale. Make the sale. Ultimately, you got to make the sale. You got to sell these guys. And he didn't do it. He didn't pull the trigger. He thought someone was going to give. Was it the kind of thing where, with, like you say, Russ, with Danny having to not just win the deal but destroy you?
Look, again, I don't think this is a GM who's operating from a position of confidence or strength, and I think, I think selling in Boston is a really, really hard thing to do. And I don't think he had the guts for it, or the ownership had the guts to be sellers.
Yeah,
Right,
pulling the trigger is tough. Just look
It
at
is.
the way Danny got gun shy down the last 3 years of his regime here. It's a hard thing to do. You're afraid you're going to make a mistake. You don't want to make the misstep, so you don't make anything.
Joe, you know how ugly this can get when August and September means nothing at Fenway Park. All of a sudden, everybody starts talking and just it's all negativity. How does Cora survive? Meaning, does Cora not quit at the end of the season?
That would be an unlikely thing, but I think he's more likely to quit than for him to be fired, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I don't think Cora is in danger of being fired. I mean, what do you think would happen, Scotty, if Cora went to ownership and said, this GM lost the locker room. None of the guys have faith in this
I
organization.
think he already has.
But let me. So, if Cora went to Henry or Kennedy and said that, do you think that who would win that? If Cora basically gave an ultimatum, me or Chaim, who would win that?
Well, I know Cora obviously is very thankful that the Red Sox organization took him back. So I think there's that situation where he's going to tread very lightly. I believe it's not as much because we know the locker room is going to change next year, and nobody likes losing, and it's always a shit show when you're losing in this town. It would be if Cora, to answer your question, if Cora and Bloom's relationship, if they didn't feel like those two could work together, Cora didn't think those two could work together, then he might say it's either Chaim or me.
And who do you think who would ownership support? Would ownership let Cora walk, or would they fire Chaim?
They'd have to let Cora walk. Absolutely. Have to. Unfortunately, they have to.
I think they've already said something. They made Chaim fly out to Kansas City and address the team about what he was doing, right?
Let's unpack what that decision would mean if it were to, it's hypothetical though, Scotty. You would take a proven World Series winning manager and you'd let him walk in favor of a rookie GM who hasn't proven anything in his time in Boston.
Look, on paper, you're absolutely right. It would weigh heavily toward Cora, but that's a dangerous road to go down when all of a sudden
is. I totally agree.
Starts to saying, these players aren't working out. Get rid of the GM. I don't think we can't go down that road.
Yeah, look, it's a hypothetical. I don't think it would happen, but I got to tell you, I ditch Chaim. I would ditch Chaim before Cora. In a New York minute.
Yeah, I mean, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Look, what I felt with him in the past, but I'm over that now. Cora is a great asset to the Boston Red Sox. He's been an excellent manager on the field. There would be no reason to break ties.
You can almost see it in his face, the resignation, when he's sending out the Braziers and the Matt Barnes and Sawamoras of the world. And, that he knows that it's like, this team sucks.
Okay, I'm going to give you a scenario. And we're welcoming in Timmy, JP's first son. Can you hear us? All right, hold on, still working on. How about
the boat hasn't landed yet. You got to wait.
Brad Stevens scenario where Cora goes up.
That's
very interesting, Scotty.
And Cora goes to be the general.
I read something the other day that Cora made a comment within the last 2 years that he didn't see himself managing forever and that he'd be interested in a front office job.
Yep.
Very interesting notion that you had. That would be fantastic. I think Cora would know exactly what to do in that job.
And he's got a lot of contacts around both leagues where he's a broadcaster and where he, managed elsewhere.
But they don't fire Chaim. He stays on and
put head of the farm system. Put him as the head of player development in the farm system.
I think Chaim's walking away at that point.
Can we hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but Russ, would he get another job anywhere?
Timmy, we're talking about Cora Chaim relationship. As you're backing up, be careful, Timmy.
I'm sure that Cora's not a big fan of Chaim these days.
But right? Could they coexist with each other in the front office? Do you say that Russ? You say that Chaim would walk.
Chaim would walk. I would.
Yeah,
walk. If I were
kind of have to.
I would walk.
Yeah.
Wouldn't all of us walk?
Yes.
We'd all walk. We'd be like, no, that's ridiculous.
Are you talking about bumping Cora up to the front office and taking him off?
Like it's a Brad Stevens scenario, Timmy. It's a Brad Stevens scenario.
Oh, I don't know why you would do that. I think Cora's most valuable in the dugout.
Agreed.
If Cora wanted to leave. If Cora wanted to leave the Boston Red Sox and would say, and they love Cora.
I think his connection is in the dugout with the.
Yeah, Timmy's probably right.
Especially with the Latin players, that's my.
He's probably right. probably weaken yourself at two positions in some ways. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're going to fire Chaim after this year, but I do think they're going to say to Chaim, you need to bring on some staff. You need to bring on a veteran who can be a sounding board for you, because you got all these guys running around who don't know what they're doing.
For years they had, like senior advisors like LaRussa and them for guys, but they've all gotten, Dombrowski, they've all gotten jobs though. And so Chaim has been on his own this year anyways.
Yep.
Would they ask Theo to come back?
Of course, I'm sure they've asked him before.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to basically buy him into the ownership.
Yeah.
And give him a real significant, like, total decision-making power, and as an owner, which is a lifetime position at that point.
Right. I mean, would you be willing? Yeah, you're not going to give him 3% of the Fenway Sports Group. Not a chance.
Yeah, there's not a chance they'll do that.
No way.
So do you think the Hahn experiment is over? I mean,
well, let's break it down a little bit, fellas. He did a fantastic job last year. Look, Schwarber, Robles, got guys that he acquired were perfect fits. Iglesias, it worked wonderful. If it wasn't for a bad call by Lars Diaz, we may be talking about the world champion 5th time in the last.
But he should have kept it up with Schwarber and Iglesias and re-signed these guys.
But was that really a team built to last though? It literally seemed like a hodgepodge slapped together team to me anyways. It didn't seem
he made acquisitions, if you think about it, that reinforced this team. The Walkers and the Hills and stuff would have been very helpful moving forward this year. He just had to tweak the team and keep Renfroe and Schwarber, and we're a team that would have competed.
Our negative aspect of keeping Schwarber and Renfroe was that it looked like a slow pitch softball team, and it wasn't very athletic, right? So we were asking for him to make the team more athletic. Do you remember that?
Yeah, he could have still got Story made them more athletic. I mean, had you like Russ mentioned, had you gotten rid of JD, and his value would have been tremendous in the offseason because of the DH going to both leagues. Re-signed Schwarber, did nothing with Renfroe. Nobody talked about Renfroe. What are we even talking about Renfroe for? Just stick him in right field. Had you done those moves, this is a team that's probably 10 to 15 games better than they are right now.
I agree.
It's more than 60 home runs better right off the bat.
Yeah, you guys called this one where he somehow got the rug pulled out from under him in the aftermath of that Renfroe trade. He clearly must have thought that there was something behind it, whether it was the Japanese right fielder or something else. He cannot have gone into this year thinking that Jackie Bradley Jr. was going to be a MLB level, replacement level player in right field.
Great. I think he must have thought Suzuki was in his pocket. That's the only thing that I can imagine was going through.
Even why add JBJ in that deal anyways? Couldn't play. Was owed $30 million. Nothing made sense.
We got
nothing
some
made
breaks.
sense about that deal.
We got some bad breaks too.
Yeah, we laughed our asses off when they signed when was it Milwaukee signed JBJ to that contract. We were like laughing at them like they were the village idiots.
Cackling like jackals. But
we had some.
If we had gotten like, usually when you take on a contract like that, you get like a top prospect. We didn't. We got two, middlers.
So look, we got some bad luck in this, right? Kike, who was fantastic last year, hasn't done anything, right? Cassis got hurt. He'd probably be playing first base for the Red Sox that he'd not gotten hurt with a high ankle sprain and been out for 6 weeks, right? So there were a handful of things that just didn't pan out. And then we have the whole Chris Sale situation, which at some point in time we're going to have to address.
And by the way, Paxton never came back either.
No,
he was supposed to come back around now.
No, he wasn't. No.
Did you already visit the Chris Sale saga? Did I miss that?
Yeah, we haven't done that yet. We were waiting for you. But yeah, no, go ahead, Russ, and finish this, and then we'll go to Phil.
Yeah. So I think I would put most of this on Bloom. I would put some of this on bad luck, and I would put some of this on ownership, who has clearly not said spend as much money as you want, right? Because there's always this little specter of the luxury tax threshold. I wouldn't put it all on Heim, but he hasn't done himself any favors, and that trade deadline was a fiasco.
Okay, no show has criticized Chris Sale and been more consistent with that the last few years than us. We call him Nana Chrissy, as you all know. We have Grandpa Gordon and we have Nana Chrissy, and there's a reason for it. Chris Sale is the biggest phony that has ever walked into Boston as a professional athlete, worse than Gordon Hayward. That he doesn't.
I don't agree with this, Scott.
What?
I don't agree with you.
What?
Okay. Oh my God. Okay.
No, I think the guy just gets hurt a lot. I mean,
come on. Just really.
I don't know what else to say. I mean,
have you ever? Come on, you did that with Gordon Hayward.
These are phony injuries, Tim.
Have you ever?
Tim, how does he break his rib throwing? Tim, how does he fly off his bike in the middle of Cleveland Circle and no one sees it?
Yeah.
I've flown off my bike in Cleveland Circle.
But he does all of this in 3 months.
Going to Mary Ann's.
But he does all of this in 3 months. He breaks his ribs, breaks his finger, and breaks his what? Wrist?
But you've missed one. There was
look at the guy.
You've missed one. There was a non-COVID illness, mysterious non-COVID illness that set him back for 6 weeks as well, after he broke his rib, which was a mysterious injury.
Look, I've had employees, many employees, just like Chris Sale. Every time you ask them to do a job, they've got an excuse, and they think it's valid in their head. Okay, no professional athlete could have all this happen in a 4-month period of time. And then act like, oh my God, I'm Mr. Tough Guy. I can't believe this is all happening.
And he's never pitched a full season in his life. He's broken down. He hasn't pitched since 2017? Well, 2018, he pitched half a year, right? Came back and was ineffective at the World Series. Totally ineffective.
What is he doing with a broken finger, jumping on a bicycle in Cleveland Circle? What is he, 19 years old? The guy makes $35 million a year. You can't take it.
Here's something for you.
Going to the Eagles Deli.
Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, they all delivered to the BC campus as far as I know.
Oh, they can't wait to.
And if you fall off your bike, I want to see some cuts. I want to see other things.
There's gotta be a million cameras in Cleveland Circle.
No kidding, Timmy. Broad daylight on Saturday, Chris Sale goes ass over tea kettle off his bicycle in Cleveland Circle, and no one saw it.
And not a single security camera caught this.
There isn't a square inch of Cleveland Circle that isn't covered by a camera.
Yeah.
And wait, hold on a second. Did he get back on his bike and just start riding?
Who the hell knows?
He went back and called time, and
here's the thing. Here's and I wrote this to you the other day, right? So so I had a friend calculate this. He's basically been paid about $500,000 per out over the last 3 years.
Oh my God.
Okay. So that's where we are on this, on the just the value of this contract, right? Look to the fact that they had to trade Mookie because they re-signed Sale a year before he ever proved that he could pitch, in Boston in October, much less November. But here's the thing: he has an opportunity. This guy went to the edge of basically saying, he basically told us in May he doesn't feel like he's earned the money for the Red Sox, and he has a way out of this. He could opt out after this year of his contract. He has an opt out after this year, and Chris Sale could say, I haven't earned my money. I'm going to opt out, and I'm going to earn my money for whatever team signs me next. I feel so bad. This is where Scotty's right about him being a fraud. He talks day and night about how he feels horrible that he can't pitch for the Red Sox and that he hasn't earned his money, and I would hate him too. Well, then fine, Chris, solve your problem. Opt out of your contract and go earn your money next year in an incentive-laden deal. Do you think he's going to do that?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Do you think
Timmy.
he'll do that?
No.
Yeah, Timmy, what do you think? Come on, you're defending him.
I know. You know what? I've been injured playing sports before, and I know it's a tough thing and it stinks. So, you guys have a lot of valid points.
But Timmy, and you know I love you, but Timmy, you did the same thing with Gordon Hayward. Then he went to Charlotte, took another $150 million, and pulled the same shit
thing.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't.
I know.
So it's not. This has nothing to do with injuries. Injuries the excuse. Kyrie Irving uses mental illness. He's insane. So that's what he does for his excuse to
It's
not
called
play.
malingering.
When a guy doesn't want to play anymore, this is what these guys do now. They blow
Go
the
with this malingerers at the PO.
Just one or two. That's for sure.
So look,
They end up in you sell to them now probably.
what does he have? 2 more years left, Russ?
No, he has a vesting thing for 2025. So he's paid for 2023, 2024, and he vests in 2025 if he finishes in the top 10 of the Cy Young and stays healthy. So he has an opportunity to vest in 2025. So he's 2 more complete years after this one, and then an opportunity to vest in 2025.
Chicago
Now,
Cubs.
is there any other team that you could think of that has signed as many bad contracts as the Red Sox have in the last 10 years?
Yankees have
No.
some good bad ones. The Yankees have had some bad ones, but
No, I mean, if you look at, you go back to Edgar Renteria, Carl Crawford, David Price,
Adrian
Pablo Sandoval,
Gonzalez.
Adrian
Oh,
Gonzalez.
no.
I mean,
no, do
Pablo
not
Sandoval.
include David Price in that. Do not include David Price in that. That David Price.
I guess you're right. That's unfair.
He pitched. That guy. Look, that
He was
don't
fine.
get me started about the whole David Price thing because it's much deeper than anyone wants.
Yeah, you're right.
Scotty,
I retract that. I retract the David Price.
He
thing,
was
but
no
they signed
John
some pretty
Lester,
bad
though.
contracts.
Why would you
Yeah.
contract David Price? We ended up paying him to play for the Dodgers for years.
Yeah, but that's their problem. That's the Red Sox problem because they were trying to dump contracts and stuff.
That was the Chris Sale problem. We signed Chris Sale. We had to dump money, and we not only gave them Mookie Betts, we freaking sent them David Price too.
David Price when he pitched for the Red Sox was excellent. That kid was as tough as nails. We don't win the World Series in 18 without David Price. People need to stop it with the David Price bullshit, and it's because you know why they do that with David Price, and I won't stand for that slander with him. Other guys, we got plenty of room. The Carl Crawfords of the world, complete fucking dogs. Pablo Sandoval, Chris Sales, and stuff. Yeah, we've had a lot of bad contracts, but nobody's worse than Chris Sale. Nobody's worse.
Every team has their bad contracts. Every team, but you have to learn to get away from them. Look at Milwaukee; they made a bad contract with JBJ. They suck at time to take it away from them.
If this friggin' guy in November after this season in October gives an interview to the Globe and tells everybody how bad he feels about taking the Red Sox money, I am going to hurl myself off of the Zakim Bridge because I can't listen to this crap
because
anymore.
that's going to happen.
Opt out of your contract then. You don't have to take the money.
Right.
You have an opt-out.
You're right. The difference between all these guys we named in Sales is those other guys didn't say a word. Crawford never said a word when he was here. Sandoval, not a word. Sale never shuts the fuck up. Ever. Look, the Chicago Cubs just announced that Jason Hayward, who was a terrible signing for them, that they are going to cut ties with him after this year and just pay straight out whatever they owe him in his contract, $25, $30 million. The Red Sox should cut Chris Sale. Otherwise, it's just wasting all our time.
Yeah.
Wasting a spot on the 40. You're wasting the spot everywhere.
You're not going to get anything. All right, I'm so frustrated. We got to get out of the Red Sox. I want happy land. Let's go to the Boston Celtics. And right now, boys, the Boston Celtics are the #1 team in this town. That's it.
I don't know. With the Bruins re-signing Krejci, they're pushing it.
Even though we just signed David Krejci, you still think
Right.
And they signed Pavel Zacha too.
Oh
Wait a
my
second.
God.
I know we're on the Celtics, but we'll get to the Bruins. I'll save it. Sorry. Go ahead.
Look, the Red Sox have the two biggest stars in this town. Other than, I mean, is there? Well, there's Mac Jones, there's Rafael Devers and Xander Bogaerts, there's Jaylen Brown, there's Jason Tatum, and then there's David Krejci. Right? Who do you put the number one star in this town right now?
I'd say Jason Tatum's certainly going to be in the running.
Yeah,
I
think so.
Between Tatum and Mac Jones?
When the football season starts, Mac will be number one. He'll be the star of the day.
Yeah.
When the Celtics season starts, which is very shortly. Is it next week?
October is the first. It starts the exhibition play.
Yeah, but training camp.
Yeah, although we'll see if the Patriots are 2-4, we'll see how starry Mac Jones is at that point in time. I mean, let's not forget Jason Tatum's been in this town for 5 years and has gone to multiple Eastern Conference championships and won finals. So, and made an All-NBA team, which means you're a top 5 player in the NBA.
Can you believe those two have been together for 5 years? It just seems like they're
amazing.
still.
It's amazing. The number one star in this town, and it was such an exciting playoff run. I mean, to not win a championship, that's about as exciting a run without winning a championship as you could get. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Until the Golden State series, it was thrilling.
And I just can't believe. Go ahead, Russ.
Yeah, dude, first
and even
to
game 4, even to game 5, it was thrilling.
First 4 games of that series, they were fantastic, and then they ran out of gas. And then the Celtics did what they should have done, which is send in the reinforcements. Bring 2 rotation players in without losing any rotation players. That's pretty impressive.
They brought in a rotation player. I would say that they arguably brought in the third best player on that team.
Maybe, a guy who could probably win the 6th Man of the Year award. I think he's going to be a 6th man. If I were the Celtics, I wouldn't start him over Smart. I'd play him 25, 30 minutes a game and keep him as healthy as long as I could.
I think my worry with Brogdon is his health. He hasn't shown the ability to stay on the court.
Well, that's why I think he's accepting of the 6-man role. Is he won't be called upon to carry a team anymore.
Yeah, and Udoka's there's gonna be games that probably in the West Coast against Sacramento, and none of the fellas are gonna really play. He'll be willing to give up some losses at times.
They should
make sure to keep the guys healthy. But the whole Durant rumors and continued rumors and stuff, I don't think there's a chance that Brad Stevens would ever mess with this right now.
I don't know.
He's an awful good player. He's awful good.
I don't think there's a chance they would give up Brown and Smart. I do think there's a chance that if this thing goes late and the Nets say Brown, White, and a draft pick, I think he's gonna stop in his tracks, sit down.
Let me tell you,
he might be a top 10 player of all time.
Oh, I know.
Where is he now, Joe? What is he right now? I don't care about the past.
Right.
From a business perspective, that would pack the Garden every night, and they would pack the Garden.
Right,
pack on the road. They would pack every game too.
Jimmy's tickets have doubled in value.
Hey, just to be clear, Scotty, Durant did get hurt. He sprained his MCL last year, which is a significant factor. Until he sprained his MCL, he was a top 3 MVP candidate. Okay. Jaylen Brown has not sniffed an MVP consideration yet in his career. That doesn't argue for the trade, but in terms of how Kevin Durant played last year, he played really, really, really well.
But the
one thing I really don't like about the Durant situation is you'd be carrying that contract on your salary cap for 4 more years.
You'd also be having Kevin Durant on your team for 4 more years too.
I don't know if he'd be worth it on our team in year 3 and 4.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're worried about that.
I don't think they're worried about year 3.
They want to win a championship now. I grant
2 years.
I mean, we won 1 championship in 36 years.
Yeah.
We need to get
So
Tatum would love it. The double teams on Tatum would go
Yeah. Look, I'm against the trade, but I do think that if the Nets called Brad and said JB, Derek White, in a pick, I think he's going to really seriously. I still don't look. I probably still say no, but boy, is that tempting. I mean, that is really, really tempting.
Yeah, you're not going to let D. White get in the way of acquiring Kevin Durant.
Seriously, this is Derek White. Like,
I mean, he's a nice little complimentary player, but
the Nets have tried to make set a price and put out their rumors of what the Celtics are willing to give them. I don't think the Celtics are willing to give them anywhere near that what they're saying.
So if they were to make that trade, just to be clear, the Celtics offseason would be Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and say 2 or 3 picks because they had to use one to get Brogdon. So they would have traded Jaylen Brown, Derek White, 2 or 3 first-round picks for Kevin Durant, Malcolm Brogdon, and Danilo Gallinari.
Yeah.
Brogdon's better than White.
Yeah.
Durant is better than Jaylen Brown, and Danilo Gallinari is better than Daniel Tice.
Oh, no question. Anybody's better than Daniel Tice, but
right.
Yeah.
And just look at the size of those 3 you added versus
and those
size
suckers
of
those are big.
You're adding like 6 inches on each one.
Yeah, D. White's expendable now that they got Brogdon. So,
so again, I think KD is toxic. I would be shocked if he did come here, if he didn't want out. As soon as someone looks cross-eyed at him, if someone throws a freaking bottle cap at him in Boston Garden and calls him a name, he's gonna be banging on Wick's door to get rid of him.
Yeah,
so that's the problem. But if you look like pure talent, those trades that meta trade that I just said, JB, Derek White, a couple of picks for those 3 guys, we're a way better team than we were last year.
I agree.
Look, Jaylen Brown, though, was the best player for the Boston Celtics in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
he was the most consistent player all year long. No ins and outs. He gave it every night he was there.
How much better do you think Kevin Durant would make Jason Tatum?
Like Joe said, never see a double team again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how much more could Timmy get selling his tickets on StubHub? Because that's the real data point that we need to go after.
That's the real point that's the major point we're talking about.
Jaylen Brown's a very nice player, but Kevin Durant is they know his name in China.
That and they complement each other beautifully. Durant likes to work from the left side of the top of the key, and Tatum likes to work from the right side of the top.
By the way, as I've said, and Scotty, you've recognized this, Jaylen Brown is not the picture of reliable health.
That's it.
That guy has missed 10 games a year, and they're the kind of injuries like hamstrings, knee. This isn't like he broke his hand and he was out 6 weeks.
No.
He's got nagging lower body injuries, Jaylen Brown does.
Also, he's not a play at 94% guy. He doesn't feel like. Also, he's the worst dribbler I've ever seen, maybe other than Greg Kite in the NBA. Literally has no handle.
Finkel.
Right? Have you ever seen a guy who's extremely talented, obviously, have a better handle as he does?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. It's bad. His assist to turnover ratio last year was horrible. It got better for a while in the playoffs, but he's got to tighten that up. Look, we all want, we all are fans because we love watching guys come up through the farm system, your own guys banging on the door for a number of years and they win, and it's much more gratifying. So that's part of it.
No question.
And part of it is KD seems to be a bit of a pud. And do we really want to pud? We're buying into that kind of behavior, which is really hard to do.
Comparison, I used to say I did not want the Red Sox to get Albert Bell, who was one of the best players in baseball for a long time, because I didn't want to win a World Series, the first one in my lifetime, with that fucking asshole. They ended up choosing Manny Ramirez, very appealing, fun personality.
Yeah.
Came with baggage also, but didn't we enjoy winning World Series with Manny Ramirez?
And isn't it a shame he'll never get into the Hall of Fame?
You know, one
mean,
thing
he
I never,
screwed it up.
one thing I never want to have around here again. Do you remember when we were all hoping that Kyrie would love Boston and please love us and please?
Yeah. Right.
I don't care.
Thank
who the
God he
guy
didn't.
is. You can send LeBron James in his prime here again, and if that's, I never want to go through that again. So if we have to deal with that at all with Durant, I really would want.
It's a great point, Timmy. Like, I don't want to deal with does he love us or not. Like, either, you know. Now we may end up. Jaylen Brown may get midway through next year and say, you know what, I want out. I want my own team, and we'll have the same sort of feeling. But Durant has done this 3 times now.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all about him.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
I think that even if Brad wanted to do it, Wick would put the kibosh on it.
You think so? Maybe.
Yeah. I think Wick has a real good sense, you know.
Yeah, maybe.
Of the town and the way the fans are, and I think he's a pleaser.
What? Okay, here's one. This could be more hypothetical. What would Red have done?
Wow, great question.
What would Red Auerbach do, Joe?
It would have been done by now.
You think?
He was a man of action. He did it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
That's
And then he made it work. Somehow, even if he made the wrong move, he would make it work.
Great
Well, I
question.
don't know. Ime's a good guy to have. Did they say Durant and Ime have some kind of relationship?
Yeah.
Well, he was his coach for a year.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Ime can handle him. You know.
Yeah. But
What do you think? What do you think Red Auerbach would have done, Scotty?
that is a great. Wow, that's the question of the year. I have to be honest with you. I think that he would not have given up. Look, that was going to be my next question. If you see these big stars when they get acquired, nobody ever gives up a young star for him. I think that Auerbach, like Joe said, makes the deal, but somehow does not include Jaylen. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's that, right?
Yeah, he'd give up a Larry Siegfried, but he wouldn't give up anyone that he had drafted and he thought had talent.
Yeah, I don't think he would have done it.
The Rick Roby, Dennis Johnson deal, and for some reason I looked back at that in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
He also got a #1 pick.
Yeah.
Right. I think the Gerald Henderson deal he got.
Oh, that ended up poorly because wasn't that Len Bias that ended up?
Yeah, but I mean, he got something super valuable back. I mean, he never traded Bird, Parrish, McHale. He never traded Havlicek. He never traded any of the stars.
No.
Right?
What did he get Walton for? From Maxwell, right?
Yeah, from Maxwell. Yeah. I don't think he would have made it. I mean, I never really thought about it, but he probably wouldn't make that deal. He probably
think he would have made it, but I don't think he would have. I don't.
Right.
He would not.
He would have snookered him somehow.
That's my question for you. If the Nets are in desperate situation, we're heading to
not a chance.
I think they're stuck with him for the year.
Would Marcus be enough? Marcus, D. White, and picks.
No, that wouldn't be enough for them. They've got a better
more
offer
from
for
Phoenix.
someone else.
Would you include Marcus, D. White, and Rob Williams?
No, I wouldn't do that either.
You would not give up Marcus, Rob Williams.
Yeah, I would. I would. Yeah, I think you just do that and you figure it out and you say, we have Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. We'll figure the rest of it out.
Yeah, I guess you're right there, but
Rick Roby could start for the Boston Celtics in 2023, 2022, 2023. And they would get to the Eastern Conference Finals with those 3 guys.
How are you defending that group? How are you defending that group?
No, I just think
come on, Rob Williams would be the reason, the factor. Come on.
Yeah, I'd rather give up a draft pick than him.
Yeah, but you can't. In the hypothetical, you either in or you're out. I think you take those 3 guys. You hope that Malcolm Brogdon can play 30 minutes a night, and you just fill in the gaps around them.
No, I think Rob Williams has a lot of upside.
Okay, but would you, Timmy, Marcus Smart, D. White, Williams, and first round picks?
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I mean, I really hate to see Rob Williams go because
do we have any evidence that Robert Williams can play 65 games during a regular season?
None.
And a complete set of games in the playoffs?
No, it's not going to happen. Never going to happen.
But I love like what this kid might become. You know,
I do too.
He's
but-
fun to
but you have
watch.
to-
I
you
really
have to be
enjoy
honest.
watching him, but he's
You have to
never
be
going to
hon-
be an Iron
You have
Man.
to be honest. If he's healthy, we probably win the championship last year. He was he was never healthy after he got injured.
Kevin Durant's a lot better player than Rob Williams. I'm not
you
Yeah,
think?
yeah.
He's
But
literally.
I
a
really
top-
enjoy watching Rob. The little
Yes.
he plays, I enjoy.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you something. Dwight Howard can do what Rob Williams does. If you just, I'm telling you, Dwight Howard, I've watched him play in recent times. He can alter shots. He can rebound. He can do it. I know he's a fucking pain in the ass, but I'm telling you something. Let's do that deal. Let's.
Yeah.
If we hadn't gotten Gallinari and Brogdon, I would have said I was open to them picking up Howard as the third big.
Yeah. Well,
But now, not so much.
they still might. All right, we got to go. We lost Timmy there. We got to go to the Patriots. First of all, the good news is Tyquan Thornton. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they rave
Yeah.
about him.
Yeah.
I got bounced out there for a second. Sorry, guys.
So, Timmy, we've gone to the Patriots and talking about Tyquan Thornton. He's the good news. Second round pick that was panned. He's the fastest guy, one of the fastest guys in the NFL. He apparently has all the moves and stuff. Looks like we may finally have a receiver that can actually play.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, you gotta be from Missouri on this. There's a history of the beat reporters pumping guys' tires in the preseason.
Well,
The guy's got to get. The knock on him is he's small, and if you put the cornerback up in press coverage, and you keep him from getting off the line, then he can't do any damage. He does his damages. If you give him 5 yards, he's going to be past you.
There might be a connection between the troubles that everyone seemed to be reporting about in camp and the fact that Tyquan Thornton's doing well, because it evidently the reason why the Patriots have sort of changed their offense is that no one could exist like the Tyquan Thorntons couldn't exist in the Patriots' previous offense with so many option routes, and the complexity of that offense was just too much for almost any receiver. And if maybe one of the good things about this change is that it would open them up to having guys who can step in at wide receiver and other positions and just play well.
Basically, had to be a Rhodes Scholar to figure that out.
Yeah.
We saw guys come in here, they just never figured it out, and they will go.
Never. Yeah.
Ocho Cinco, Nikhil
Oh,
Harry.
and there was smart guys that came in here and couldn't figure, and never quite, the light bulb never went on with them.
That's right.
I just want to mention Nikhil Harriet. No, I didn't follow up on it, but already injured.
High ankle sprain. He's out for almost the rest. He's out for the rest of training camp.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
There'll be an injury settlement, and that'll be the end of Nikhil.
The hatred of Nikhil Harry in this town is top 10 of all time, right? Has to be.
He just stunk the joint though.
Well, he was just such a big bust. People had high hopes, and people every year said, maybe this will be the year, maybe this, and he, dashed their hopes every year.
Okay, what I'm hearing, we were going to depend on Ronnie Perkins and Cam McGrone. I'm hearing don't depend on Cam McGrone or Ronnie Perkins. I'm telling you, that linebacking core is going to be a disaster. You're going to have safeties like we had the last couple of years.
Phillips and Duggar playing up front.
And we know how well that goes.
Yeah, I'm not too optimistic this year.
Well, I think they don't seem to be using anyone as like a defensive end. I think they're going to have some kind of hybrid defense there. 3 fat guys up front, like in the 3-4, but have like a 3-5 and have like an umbrella behind the 3 fat guys to stop the run,
So this guy, Roquan Smith, am I saying that right? From
Raekwon McMillan?
No,
Smith.
Roquan Smith, a kid from
Smith.
Chicago. Yeah.
He's He's an all-star.
He wants to get paid the most of anyone in the history of the NFL. It's not happening.
Patriots are rumored to get him.
He wants top dollar
Yeah. No.
What is he? Is he inside or outside?
inside.
So he's exactly the guy we need.
He's
Yeah, where-
exactly the guy you want and they kind of need. But
Tackling machine.
Where's he coming from?
the Bears.
Chicago. Yeah.
Would you give up a first round pick for him?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, but
If you
to
could
Joe's
sign
point,
him.
it's what will you sign him? Are you willing to sign the guy?
A 1-year rental, you don't give up a first. You know?
Who would they have to get rid of? Wynn would go, right?
Well, you'd need to, yeah. I mean, you need to put, a couple guys in for salary and a bunch of picks, I would assume. I mean, the cost of these guys is enormously high. Remember what the Ramsey trade fetched? I mean, it was like something like a 1 and a 2
2
and a
firsts
3.
and 2 twos.
Yeah, something like that. So you're basically selling out. You're saying, and is that guy going to make the difference between the Patriots winning the Super Bowl and not over the next 2 years? I don't know. You'd have to believe it would.
Minka Fitzpatrick was 2 1s. A lot of them
Yeah.
have been.
Yeah.
They've never gone the route of like giving the whole salary cap to one person. Even when Brady was here, they wouldn't.
No.
No, but when
They
guys
spread it
keep
around.
themselves out of town and want all this money during training camp, that's a very difficult situation as far as leverage for the Bears to get a huge.
Oh yeah, they're not going to. Maybe they will, and linebackers don't have the same value put upon them that say an edge rusher or a shutdown corner has.
But this
It's
would be a quick way
safeties and linebackers don't get paid, and tackles usually don't get paid as much.
This would be a quick way to remedy the situation, though, fellas.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's just nothing in his history that would suggest that he'd bring a guy on and then decide to set the market for a position. But look, we can hope.
Gilmore would be about the only con.
Yeah. Look, I think it'd be great, Scotty. That'd be fantastic, and maybe he can pull something off. Right now, the big concern, isn't it, Joe, is the offensive line doesn't seem to be able to do anything.
Well, I'm not right now, yeah, but that's historically offensive lines got to play together. They're on a new system. They got to play together and together and together, and they gel. They get better as time goes on.
Yeah.
Same thing with defensive backfields. A lot of times they don't. The whole training camp isn't enough. Even though it takes like 2, 3, 4 games into the season before defensive backfields and offensive lines gel. And it's just one of those things. They've got to play together under this system, and they will learn how to play next to each other.
Timmy, you gonna watch a game tomorrow? And if you are, what are you gonna look for?
I want to see Mac Jones.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play though, Tim.
I don't think he's playing.
You don't think they usually play the second and fourth? What do they have? How many preseasons? Only 2 preseasons now, right?
3, right?
3.
3, yeah.
What will he play in the second one? You think?
Yeah, probably play.
Yeah.
I guess right now the focus seems to be on the offensive line and the lack of ability to do anything right now. So I'm going to watch what they're going to do. And I love watching Barmore. He seems to be pissing everyone on the offense off. So I don't know how much he'll be in there either, though.
Russ, what are you looking for in first?
I always love these first preseason games, looking at the rookies. Want to see both those Jones kids. Would love to see the Pierre Strong get some run. Tyquan Thornton. I mean, those are the guys I'm going to be looking for, just because they'll get some time.
Joe, you'll be looking at the line, right?
No, I'll be looking at Ty Montgomery and Ty Thornton. I like those. I want to see those. I want to look at the special teams, the special guys. I want to see Pierre Strong is supposedly just made for this new offense. He's going to be the next star.
Wow. I want to see the Joneses too. I want to see.
Oh yeah,
Jack Jones, like Russ said, Jack Jones in defense and Marcus punt returning.
Yeah.
Hopefully he won't be that other. If you remember that other Jones.
Oh, Cyrus Jones. Oh my God.
Oh, what did
he never did anything right. Never.
Did he fumble?
Scotty, you're not missing Gunner then, I take it.
No.
No, Gunner was a 1-year thing. God bless him. Gunner got paid a little bit. He won't have to be in the food lines.
He's with the Steelers with Brian Flores.
Gunner will be in a wheelchair by the time he's
at the very least, he won't know his name is Gunner by the time he's 30. That's for sure. All right, we had to do it. I know this is a very exciting time for Timmy and Russ, and So tell us, what the Bruins do this week?
The Bruins just radically increased their chances of making a playoff run this week.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
the Bruins did.
What are we doing?
You know what? I can't believe. Did I read it like Bergeron $2.5 million? Is
Yeah,
that a misprint?
The 2.5 incentives that'll probably reach. But
Yeah.
Still,
Well,
Yeah,
it's kind of written so that the money goes on into next year's salary cap is how he's still getting the dough, but it's both him and Krejci goes into next year.
So what is next year?
Dead money.
But next year would be how much?
Oh, I forget how much the roster, whatever their roster bonuses are.
he's going to end up making $5 million this year, Tim.
Yeah, he's going to end up making $5 million.
That's still, for a guy that did what he did last year.
Yeah.
What is the
Oh,
deal?
it's a discount.
Yeah.
It's a
He's
discount.
making like 7 or 8.
Yeah, he was making 7.5 last
Yeah.
year.
I mean, on
So
the
that's
open
2.5
market,
to spend somewhere else.
on the
Yeah.
open market, if he shopped himself around, I would imagine there was more money off.
Oh yeah. I mean, somebody would have given him $6, $7, $8 million for a year.
A Canadian
more.
team to sell tickets.
Of course,
One
yeah.
of the Canadian teams that would have jumped on.
Now, what did they give
Surprised
Krejci?
by it.
About the 1.5 plus incentives. He'll probably make 4 or something.
That's a pretty good deal too. If he's anything like the guy that we loved here so much, Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got to be.
Oh, I think you're
Yeah,
looking at
who
50.
loved it?
I think
we
you're looking at
ran the
50
guy out
points.
of town, Tim.
I think we're looking at 50 points from Krejci this year at least.
50 points.
Him and Hall. We have a new profession.
No, Timmy, it's him, Hall, and Pasternak. That's the line. I mean, he's gonna back into 50 to
Couldn't
60
get
points.
50 points in the Route 1 league.
So who's
Scott-
Bergeron
Scott-
going to have on his line?
That's Bergeron's
DeBrusque.
problem.
DeBrusque and,
DeBrusque, Bergeron, and wait until Marchand gets back.
That's
Yeah.
Bergeron's
Marshall
problem.
won't be back till Christmas, right?
That's Bergeron's problem. Yeah, because he has to yield to fucking Krejci at all times. The fucking king is back in town.
You got a 60-point center who wants to
He
be on a
just
check
made
line.
10 more points in what, half a second? How's a guy who is shitty takes a year off and he's gonna be more shitty?
And sucks in the Czech league.
That's a 100% check line, huh?
Well, if it gets Pasternak re-signed to the Bruins, it's worth whatever they pay him this year.
Who
That's
said
exactly
that?
right.
But who said that?
Wild and crazy guys.
That's why they're
Yeah.
bringing Krejci back. They need another check on the roster to sign Pasternak. They're not bringing Krejci back for his ability.
Look,
That's
when
ridiculous. So
once you hit December, you're going to have Bergeron, Marchand, DeBrusque in the first line, and you're going to have Krejci, Hall, and Pasternak as the second line, and the second line might be better than the first line.
And as soon as Pasternak signs on the dotted line, Krejci goes back to Czechoslovakia, and Pavel Zakoil moves up to center that line.
Joe, what have you been smoking, Joe? Seriously, just cut down on it. So you're saying that David Pasternak will take less money because David Krejci's in the room?
No, he won't take less money, but he won't go to another team. Right now, he's been talking about he'd prefer to play somewhere else that has a better chance of winning a cup.
Are we gonna talk about that nice new addition to Section 19 yet? Hall's new bride.
Oh, well, I sent you a picture. My God, hockey players. Would you agree? Hockey players get of the 4 major sports get the hottest wives.
They do well.
Yeah.
I gotta say it.
Yeah,
They do very well.
them and golfers.
Yeah, and tennis players.
NASCAR drivers.
Tennis players get women that, like, even in Sweden, they didn't even know there was women. I mean, let's be honest. They're just treading water. Again, I'm going to call the Boston Bruins from now on the Washington Wizards.
No,
Well,
they're better.
exactly.
They're much better than that. They're going to be
They
a top tier team, but
Yep.
that's the extent of it. They'll be a top 10 of the 30, but just in that.
They don't have the size. They didn't.
If you're going to bring
They have to get bigger and tougher.
Yeah,
If you're going to
exactly.
bring Bergeron back, you got to do whatever you can. It makes no sense to bring Bergeron back and rebuild. So once he was coming back, this Krejci thing was inevitable. It was inevitable.
Oh,
Now,
my
remember,
Will did, right?
McAvoy comes back in December too, doesn't he?
Yep.
When, and you got Hampus now. You got you still have a first pairing defenseman.
I'm feeling like we're looking at a conference finals visit this year.
Oh my God. Okay, so what did
This
Joe-
team, no, not a chance.
Oh,
First
Joe-
round, you're lucky to survive one round.
we're like the
Second two rounds, no.
linebacking core from last year,
Yeah.
slow and slower. I mean, where's the speed on our
And
team?
like Tim says, small and soft.
They skate fast in the Bruins.
Just about everyone, but they're
That's
like they're
not everyone.
smaller.
What are you talking about? David Krejci's just gonna be hanging on the other end.
Right.
Going all
That's
over.
what I said. He's going to
I-
be slow.
He's a wily veteran.
All right, I'm gonna make
He knows how to hang around the blue line and only make his move when they need to.
All right, we
You
gotta
watch
go.
him-
I'm
you
gonna
watch
make
him in
Russ
Hall.
and Timmy
But you watch
pay
him-
for the Krejci thing.
Krejci and Hall, they're just gonna connect all year.
That's
Just
right.
I don't know. Hall can
That
outskate,
pops up
will
at
outskate
one-timers all
Krejci
day.
every time.
Oh, all
Pasta's
right.
one-timers
Okay.
all day. Pasta's never gonna
All
have
right.
a
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna torture you two. Torture you. I'm gonna wake you up at 3 a.m. giving you statistics about David.
You better hope that he doesn't play well. Oh my God, we have all of this on tape.
Oh my!
The one thing is Krejci won't get any penalty minutes because he doesn't do anything out there.
Exactly. You can't make any contact. You just wave.
Can't keep up with anyone.
No. All right. Well, that's our show for tonight. Want to thank Ian behind the scenes. Again, check us out on Spotify. Join the Grandstanders Live family. We're in a family now. We're having cookouts every week. If you're part of Spotify, we're sending you free shit. Do it. Sign up for Spotify. Enjoy our wonderful podcast weekly. Want to thank the fellas. My name is Scott Kerman. Check us out next week on the Grandstanders Live. Have a great night.